If you're the kind of person who can't shut your brain off at night, this is for you. You lie in the dark replaying texts, money fears, and what-ifs, then drag yourself through the next day on fumes. Today I'll give you one rule and one line to calm that spiral so you can actually sleep. We'll use it in a real Friday night text moment where you'd normally stay up till 3 a.m. panicking. If that sounds like something you need, stay with me. You're lying in the dark, staring at the glow from your phone as the clock flips from 1:47 a.m. to 1:48. Your body is tired, but your mind is sprinting, replaying that awkward comment you made on Zoom, the credit card balance, the text you sent too fast and now wish you could rewrite. You shift on the mattress, your heart doing this small tight flutter in your chest, and you already know tomorrow is going to hurt. Here's the thing nobody told you when you were younger: your problem isn't just that you overthink. It's that you've trained your brain to believe nighttime is the place where every unfinished thought, every what-if, every worst-case scenario has to be solved right now in your head. You're not just trying to sleep, you're trying to run a whole crisis meeting in the dark. So you lie there, wide awake, thinking about work. You remember that email from your manager that sounded a little colder than usual, and suddenly your brain is like, you're on the chopping block. You think about money, how the rent or mortgage hits on the first, how groceries cost more every week, how unexpected bills keep popping up. You think about relationships, that dry K-text from someone you care about, the dating app match who stopped replying, and the argument that ended with "we'll talk tomorrow," but tomorrow never came. And while your mind spins, your body pays: less sleep, more irritability, worse focus, short temper, a foggy head the next day. Over time, it's not just a bad night. It starts to cost you your performance at work, your patience with people you love, and your sense of confidence in your own mind. If nothing changes, you already know the pattern. You drag yourself into the morning like you're hungover on your own thoughts. Coffee becomes a survival tool, not a treat. You snap at people who don't deserve it. You second-guess decisions because you're exhausted. And then, at night, the cycle reloads, new scenes, same storyline. You start to quietly wonder, is this just how my brain is, or is something wrong with me? That worry becomes another thought to wrestle with at 2 a.m. By the time we're done here today, I want 3 real, concrete outcomes for you. First, you're going to know a specific nighttime script you can use when your brain starts revving up, so you're not just lying there arguing with yourself. Second, you'll know how to separate daytime problem solving from nighttime rest, so your brain stops confusing your bed with a boardroom. Third, you'll have tiny, practical actions you can take in the evening and during the day that make it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep, not because your life is perfect, but because you're no longer feeding every anxious thought on demand. Educational content inspired by classical Stoic texts. Not medical, psychological, or legal advice. If you want steady Stoic focus lessons on emotional control, boundaries, and relationships every week, this is the channel for you. Stay with me until the very end, and while you're here, hit like, tap subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. We're going to keep this simple and grounded. First, we're going to tear apart the belief that every thought you have at night is urgent and must be solved before you can sleep. Next, we'll look at how to separate facts from stories so your brain stops running highlight reels of everything that could go wrong. Then, we'll build a clear, repeatable night script you can actually say to yourself in bed when the spiral starts. After that, you'll see how your daytime choices, your worry windows, your phone use, and your evening rituals either invite overthinking or calm it. Finally, we'll walk through a real nighttime scenario where you apply these tools under pressure, so it doesn't just sound good but feels doable. In a bit, we'll step into a Friday night where you're staring at a text thread that would usually keep you up until 3 a.m., and you'll see exactly how one simple sentence keeps you from blowing up your sleep and your relationships. For now, stay here with me in this room, in the dark, with your mind buzzing, and let's start changing what happens next. There's a quiet rule you've probably been following without realizing it. If your brain offers a thought at night, you treat it like a meeting invite you must attend. You don't decline it, you don't reschedule it, you show up in your head and start talking it to death. The first shift you need is this: night is for rest, not for decisions. When you stop treating your bed like a problem-solving office, you stop rewarding your brain for waking you up with emergencies that aren't actually emergencies. If you never change this, your nights stay like a 24/7 customer service line for your anxiety. Every worry gets through. Every what if gets a full-length debate. Your nervous system never learns that it's allowed to stand down after dark. You wake up drained, and then you blame yourself for not being strong enough or not being disciplined, when the truth is that you've just never given your brain a clear rule about what nighttime is for. Here's why this shift matters. Your brain is constantly looking for patterns. When you repeatedly solve problems, rehearse arguments, and make decisions in bed, you train your brain to think, lying down in the dark means we work. So even on nights when you're tired, it scans for something to chew on, that email from HR, the way your partner sounded distant, the zero in your savings account. It's not trying to torture you, it's trying to be helpful. But being helpful at 2 a.m. often looks like a disaster. When you set a rule, no decisions in bed, capture thoughts, handle them tomorrow, you're not ignoring your life. You're teaching your brain, we have a place and time for this, and it's not here. A calmer, more focused version of you doesn't lie there wrestling with every thought. That version of you treats nighttime thoughts like random notifications, noticed, acknowledged, and, if needed, rescheduled. That's the identity we're building into your nervous system, someone who respects their own rest as much as they respect their responsibilities. You need one simple line you can use every time a heavy thought shows up in the dark. Something like, "This is not decision time. I'll write this down and handle it tomorrow. Right now my only job is to rest." That's it. No complicated mantra, no 10-step process. Just a short reminder that tells your brain what this moment is for and what it's not for. Picture this in a North American context. You're in a small apartment in Toronto or a one-bedroom place near Seattle. The bedroom light is off, but the city is still humming outside the window, cars on the street, maybe a train in the distance, maybe neighbors upstairs walking around. You were scrolling on your phone a little too long, then turned it face down, plugged it in, and tried to sleep. A thought pops up. Did my manager sound weird in that meeting? Are they planning layoffs? Your stomach tightens. Your brain starts pulling up evidence, comments you've heard, decisions they've made, the way your last performance review went. Then another thought. What if I can't pay rent if I lose this job? The old pattern is to grab your phone, open the banking app, check the numbers again, maybe Google things you don't really want to read at 1:30 a.m. Within 10 minutes you've imagined being unemployed, moving back with family, your friends moving on without you. Now imagine the new response. The thought shows up. You feel the jolt of fear. Instead of grabbing your phone, you tell yourself, in a low whisper if you need to, this isn't decision time. I'm going to write this down and handle it tomorrow. Right now my only job is to rest. You reach for a small notebook and pen you keep on your nightstand. You jot down one sentence, tomorrow, check on job security and action plan. You close the notebook, put the pen back, and turn your body slightly, as if you're physically turning away from the thought. You repeat the line once more in your mind, not decision time. Only rest. You still feel some tension, but your brain has a new pattern to follow. The thought got captured, you promised to handle it during the day, and you didn't reward it with an hour-long midnight meeting. Your tiny action here is to set up that capture system tonight. A simple notebook and pen beside your bed. No fancy journal needed. Decide right now that when a heavy thought hits after you lie down, you'll write one short line about it instead of thinking about it for 20 minutes. The rule is that you can't write more than a sentence or two, you're just pinning it down for your daytime brain. Let's slow it down for a moment so your body starts to learn this with you. If you can, unclench your jaw. Let your shoulders drop a little. Take a slow breath in through your nose, feel your chest expand, hold for a moment, and then let it out through your mouth, like you're gently blowing out a candle. As you breathe out, say quietly, not decision time. Do that again, in, hold, and out, only rest. One more time, a little slower, so your nervous system gets the message. You're teaching your body a new association with these words. You don't have to master this in one night. You're just giving your brain a new script and a new move. Capture the thought, remind yourself of the rule, and let the night stay sacred for rest. Hold on to this line, because later, when we're in that Friday night scene and your phone lights up with something that would normally ruin your night, this simple rule will be what keeps you from spiraling. Another big reason you overthink at night is that your brain mixes up two different things: what actually happened today, and the story you're telling about it. When the lights go off, those stories get louder. You don't just remember that your friend took a little longer to text back, you remember that as proof they're pulling away. You don't just remember the number in your checking account, you remember it as proof you'll never get ahead. The shift here is learning to separate facts from stories in the dark. If you never learn this, your nights will keep turning into a kind of home theater for worst-case movies starring you. Every neutral detail becomes evidence of a catastrophe. Your partner yawns during your story, and at night that becomes "they're bored of me." Your boss reschedules a one-on-one, and in the dark that's "they're planning to let me go." It's not that you're making it all up, sometimes your concerns have roots in reality. But when you can't see where the facts end and your interpretation begins, your nervous system reacts to the story like it's already happening. Here's why separating these two helps. When you say, "these are the facts," you ground yourself in something solid. When you say, "this is the story I'm adding," you create a little bit of distance between you and the thought. That distance is where calm can exist. As Marcus writes in his Reflections, the disturbance often comes from our judgment of things, not the things themselves. You don't have to become a philosopher to use this, you just need a simple way to catch your brain when it runs ahead of reality. So you practice one internal line: facts first, story second. When your mind starts spinning, you quietly say, "Okay, facts first." Then you name what's undeniably true. After that, if you want, you can name the story. "Here's the story I'm telling myself." Just naming it as a story takes a bit of power away from it. It doesn't magically erase the feeling, but it reminds you that you're not trapped inside your mind's first draft. Imagine a North American evening. You're in your kitchen in Chicago or Vancouver, dishes cleaned up, lights dimmed, maybe a small lamp on by the couch. You had a weird moment earlier. Your partner seemed distant, scrolling on their phone, not really engaging in the conversation about your day. You brushed it off, but now you're in bed, lights out, and your brain pulls that moment back up. Old pattern: "they're over me. They're bored. They're probably talking to someone else. I'm always too much. This is going to end soon." Your chest feels tight. You replay tiny details: how their tone sounded slightly flat, how they didn't reach for you first. New response: you catch yourself and say in your mind, "facts first, story second." You quietly list the facts. Fact: tonight they were quieter than usual. Fact: they were scrolling on their phone a lot. Fact: they said they were tired from work. Fact: they still kissed me goodnight. Fact: we've had good days recently too. Then you name the story. The story I'm telling myself is that they don't love me anymore and I'm about to be abandoned. When you call it a story, your brain shifts just a little. You might even add, "that's a scary story, but it's still a story." You don't beat yourself up for having it, you simply stop treating it like a report from the future. Your tiny action tonight is to use this pattern with one specific thought. When a fear shows up, pause and literally whisper, "facts first." Say out loud 3 simple facts about the situation. Then say, "the story I'm telling myself is," and finish the sentence. You don't need to argue with the story. You just need to name it as a story instead of a prophecy. Let's let your body feel this shift. If it's safe to do so, gently place one hand on your chest. Notice the contact. Take a slow breath in and mentally say, "fact." Breathe out and mentally say, "story." Again, "fact." Out, "story." Now bring to mind one thing that's been bugging you from today. On the next breath out, softly say, "facts first." Give yourself a few seconds to list them. Then, with the next exhale, name the story. Don't rush. Let the naming itself be a small act of courage. This might feel awkward at first. That's okay. You're not trying to win some mental game, you're just trying to stop your brain from treating every late-night thought like a sworn testimony. As you keep practicing, you'll notice something. Some nights, after you name the story, your body loosens just enough to fall asleep. Other nights, you still feel uneasy, but you're less fused to the thought. When we get to that later scene where a text thread would usually send you into a spiral, facts first, story second is one of the tools that will help you walk away from your phone and actually rest. Right now, you probably rely on willpower at night. You tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to stop thinking, which is like telling yourself, okay, I'm just going to stop breathing for a bit. Your brain doesn't respond well to commands like that. What it can respond to is a script, a simple, repeatable series of words and moves that you use every time the spiral starts. The goal here is to build a nighttime script that your body recognizes even when you're tired. If you never build this, every night is improvisation. Sometimes you'll get lucky and fall asleep quickly. Other nights you'll be stuck, replaying the same argument for the 10th time, having the same imaginary conversation with your boss, reciting the same "what if I never get my life together" speech. Without a script, your brain chooses whatever line makes the strongest emotional impact in that moment, which is usually the most catastrophic one. You wake up exhausted, and your confidence in your ability to handle your own mind shrinks. Here's why a script works. At night, your thinking gets less nuanced. You're tired, your frontal lobe is slowing down, and old habits take over. A simple script bypasses the part of your brain that wants to debate and gives your nervous system a clear cue. This is what we do now. This is how we respond. It's the same reason routines work for kids and for athletes. Your brain loves having a pattern it can default to when you're not at your best. So let's give you one. When you catch yourself spiraling, you can say, right now I'm safe in my bed. This can wait until tomorrow. My only job is to rest. Those 3 short sentences cover a lot. They ground you in the present, right now, remind you of your physical safety, push the problem into daytime where it belongs, and assign you a simple role, rest. You can tweak the exact words later to sound more like you, but keep the structure, now, later, job. Picture this in a US or Canadian context again. You're in a small town in Ohio or a downtown apartment in Montreal. It's late. You turned off the show you were watching, brushed your teeth, did the whole nighttime routine, and you're finally in bed. Then a familiar reel starts playing. What if I never pay off this debt? What if I'm still stuck in this job at 45? What if I stay single forever? What if my kids are messed up because of me? Your heart rate picks up. Your breathing gets shallow. The old version of you starts scrolling on your phone, reading random advice threads, comparing your life to strangers. Minutes turn into an hour. The new version of you feels the spiral start and catches it earlier. You turn your phone face down and put it out of reach. You place one hand on your chest, one on your stomach, and quietly say, right now I'm safe in my bed. This can wait until tomorrow. My only job is to rest. You might need to say it twice. You might need to sync it with your breathing. But you keep that script as your anchor. You're not pretending the money or relationship issues don't exist. You're refusing to wrestle with them in the worst possible mental state. Your tiny action tonight is to memorize your script. Say it out loud right now, wherever you are. You don't have to shout it, just get the words into your mouth so they're there when you need them. If you want, write it on a sticky note and put it by your bed, or set it as the lock screen on your phone so you see it before you mindlessly open apps in the dark. Let's do slow practice together. Sit or lie down in a way that's comfortable. Let your shoulders relax and let your tongue fall from the roof of your mouth. Take a steady breath in through your nose. As you breathe out, say in a low voice or inside your head, right now I'm safe in my bed. Another breath in. As you exhale, this can wait until tomorrow. One more time, in, and on the out breath, my only job is to rest. Now do it again, a little slower, like you're talking to a close friend who's panicking. Feel the difference between rushing the words and letting them land. You're building something important, a night identity that doesn't chase every thought. When we step into that stressful Friday night later, and your phone buzzes with a message that used to guarantee you 3 hours of overthinking, this script will be one of your first lines of defense. You'll see how weirdly powerful it feels to say, "My only job is to rest," and actually mean it. There's another reason your nights are so loud. Your days are too quiet about your worries. You go through work or school or parenting, carrying anxieties like background apps running all day without ever giving them a proper window. Then when everything finally goes silent at night, those background apps jump to the foreground and demand attention. One of the most practical moves you can make is to give your worries an official appointment during the day, so they don't crash your nights. If you never do this, your brain will keep learning, the only time I can really think is when everything else is off, which usually means late at night. So of course it will throw the heaviest stuff at you then. Bills, health fears, questions about your future, unresolved conflicts, all of it gets dumped onto your pillow. Over time, just walking into your bedroom at night can trigger anxiety, because your body associates that space with unsolved problems. Here's why a scheduled worry window helps. Your mind, weird as it sounds, likes structure. When you say, "I'll think about this at 4 p.m. tomorrow for 15 minutes, and then actually do it, your brain learns that it doesn't need to hijack your sleep to get your attention. You're not avoiding your issues, you're moving the conversation to a better time, when your thinking is clearer and your energy is higher. That's exactly how a more grounded version of you operates, not by pretending everything is fine, but by choosing when and how to engage with what isn't. The microscript here when a worry hits at night becomes, "I've already scheduled time for this. I'll handle it then." It sounds almost too simple, but if you actually honor that appointment the next day, your nervous system starts to trust you. You're shifting from being yanked around by your thoughts to being the one who chooses the meeting times. Picture this in a regular weekday. You're in a shared apartment in Boston or a townhouse in Calgary. Your day is packed: commute, meetings or classes, maybe kids' activities, a quick run to the store. You feel little spikes of worry when you glance at your credit card statement or remember an awkward conversation with your manager, but you push them aside with, "I'll deal with it later." Later never comes. Then at 1:15 a.m., later shows up all at once. You're lying in the dark, cataloging everything that feels wrong in your life. Now imagine you've created a worry window. Every weekday at 4:30 p.m., you give yourself 15 minutes. You sit at your kitchen table with a notebook or a notes app open. You ask, "Okay, brain, what are you worried about?" and you write things down. You're not trying to solve everything in one sitting. You're just capturing, sorting, and asking, "Is there one small step I could take on this tomorrow?" You might list call the bank, email my manager for clarity, look at job postings for 10 minutes, budget groceries for this week. The point isn't perfection. The point is that your worries get airtime when your brain isn't half asleep. Then that night, when your mind starts pulling up the same list, you can say, "I already spent time on this. My next step is scheduled. I'll handle it tomorrow." You might still feel tension, but you've got evidence now. You're not lying to yourself, you really do have a plan. Your tiny action is straightforward. Choose a specific time tomorrow, at least a few hours before bed, and block off 10 to 15 minutes as your worry window. Put it in your calendar like a regular event. When that time comes, sit down and let your mind unload. Write things down. Choose 1 or 2 doable next steps. Then, at night, when the thoughts reappear, you use your script, "I already gave you time. I'll come back to you at the next window." Let's give your body a small taste of this structure. Close your eyes for a moment if it's comfortable. Picture tomorrow's date on a calendar. See a little box around a time, maybe 4 p.m., maybe 7 p.m., whatever makes sense for your life. Imagine writing worry window in that box. Take a slow breath in and think, "I'll meet you then." Breathe out and think, "Right now is for rest." Do that twice more, syncing the words with your breath, so your nervous system feels the separation between day and night starting to take shape. You're not weak for needing this. You're human. Your brain is trying to protect you in the only way it knows, by rehearsing problems. You're teaching it a more respectful way to do that. When we hit that later scene where your brain wants to do a full audit of your life at midnight, this worry window will be one of the reasons you can say no and actually roll over and go to sleep. There's a quiet saboteur of your sleep that you probably carry in your hand or have on your nightstand right now, your phone. It's not evil, but it's loaded with triggers that light up the exact parts of your brain that keep you awake. Social media, email, bank apps, dating apps, text threads, they're all invitations to think about other people's opinions of you, your status, your money, your worth. If you don't put some boundaries around this, your nights will keep belonging to whoever has your number or your handle. If nothing changes, you'll keep doing that thing where you say, I'm just going to check one thing, and suddenly it's 40 minutes later. You've scrolled past arguments, people highlight reels, scary news, and a few posts that hit way too close to home. You've opened your banking app just to see, and now your heart is racing. You've opened a text from someone you care about, misread their tone because it's late, and now you're in a fight or composing a speech in your head. Your bed becomes a place of screens and stimulation, not rest. Here's why digital boundaries matter so much for overthinking. Your nervous system responds to cues. The blue light, the constant notifications, the unpredictability of what you might see when you open an app, they all tell your brain, stay alert, something might be happening. That alertness is the opposite of what you need for sleep. When you set clear rules around what you will and won't do with your phone at night, you're not being dramatic, you're protecting your ability to downshift. This is how a calmer, more focused version of you treats their devices, as tools, not masters. You need a practical line here, something like, after this time, my phone is for music and alarms only. You pick a time that makes sense, maybe 30 to 60 minutes before you want to be asleep, and you stick to it as much as possible. Past that time, you don't open work email, banking apps, social media, or heavy text threads. You can still use your phone to play a podcast, white noise, or an audiobook if that helps you, but you're not letting people or apps throw you new problems when your brain is winding down. Imagine a scene in a condo in Denver or a rental in Brooklyn. It's 11:15 p.m. You're in bed, lights off, phone in your hand. You tell yourself, I'll just check Instagram for a minute. You see someone your age posting about a promotion, a new house, a trip you can't afford. You see a thread about layoffs in your industry. You see a story from someone you used to talk to, with someone new in the frame. Your stomach drops. Then a notification pops up from your banking app with your balance. You tap. Now you're doing math in your head in the dark, heart pounding. When you finally put the phone down, your mind is flooded with comparisons, fears, and old stories. New version, at 10:30 p.m., you plug your phone in across the room instead of right next to your pillow. You quickly set your alarm, pick a calm playlist or white noise, and then you make a clear internal announcement, after this time, my phone is for music and alarms only. You might even say it out loud the first few nights until it becomes normal. A text comes in at 10:45 with a preview that looks a little loaded. The old you would tap immediately, brain fully online. The new you sees it, feels the pull, then remembers the promise. You turn your face away and say, this can wait until tomorrow. My only job is to rest. The message is still there in the morning. The difference is that you arrive at it rested instead of wrecked. Your tiny action is to set one digital boundary tonight. It could be as simple as choosing a no more social media after 10 p.m. rule, or moving your phone just out of reach so you have to physically get up to grab it. You don't need a perfect system, you just need a clear line that protects your brain from late-night ambushes. Let's do a short embodied practice with this. Close your eyes if it's okay to do that. Picture your phone sitting on your nightstand or wherever you usually keep it. See your hand reaching to pick it up. Notice the urge. Now imagine yourself pausing. Feel the bed beneath you. Take a long breath in, and as you breathe out, quietly say, not tonight. And again, and on the exhale, after this time, my phone is for music and alarms only. Do that 2 more times. You're rehearsing a small act of self-respect that your future sleepy self will thank you for. None of this is about being perfect. Some nights you'll break your own rule. You'll open the app, read the text, get pulled in. When that happens, you don't need to beat yourself up. You just notice, reset, and try again the next night. Over time, your bedroom starts to feel different. Less like a control center, more like a place where nothing urgent has to happen. That alone can soften the grip of overthinking on your nights. Up to now, we've mostly talked about what you do with your thoughts. But your thoughts don't float in a vacuum, they live in your body. If your nervous system is stuck in high alert, your mind will keep feeding it content. One of the most underestimated ways to calm overthinking at night is to start from the neck down, to send your body signals that it's safe enough to power down. This isn't about bubble baths and candles unless you genuinely like them, it's about small physical cues that your brain understands. If you never address the body side, you could use all the right scripts and rules and still feel wired. You'll lie there repeating "I'm safe" with your shoulders up by your ears, your jaw clenched, your breathing shallow. Your mind hears the words, but your nervous system doesn't believe them. It's like telling someone, "everything's fine," while standing in a room full of alarms going off. Eventually, your brain trusts the alarms, not the words. Here's why body-first tools matter. Your nervous system has two main modes, fight or flight, and rest and digest. Overthinking at night is often a sign that you're stuck closer to fight or flight. Your heart rate is up, your muscles are tense, and your mind is scanning for danger. When you do certain physical things, slowing your breathing, relaxing specific muscles, adjusting your environment, you send signals up to your brain that it can shift gears. Stoic thinkers from long ago didn't use the modern terms, but they understood the idea of aligning your body with your intentions. You can give yourself a short script here too. "I'm going to help my body feel safe so my mind can rest." That keeps you from getting mad at yourself for being anxious. Instead, you treat your body like a teammate that needs care, not an enemy that's failing you. Imagine a North American evening in winter. Outside your apartment in Minneapolis or a basement suite in Ottawa, it's dark by 5 p.m. You've had a long day, maybe a stressful commute on icy roads, maybe annoying emails, maybe kids climbing all over you. By the time you're in bed, your body is still buzzing. Old pattern, you ignore all that and just hope sleep hits you like a switch. When it doesn't, you start grabbing for your phone or replaying conversations. Your body stays tense, your mind stays loud. New pattern, you build a tiny, realistic pre-sleep ritual that focuses on your body. Maybe it looks like this. 20 or 30 minutes before bed, you dim the lights in your living room. You turn off loud, fast-paced shows and put on something neutral or calming if you want background noise. You do 2 or 3 light stretches, roll your neck slowly, shrug and drop your shoulders, rotate your wrists and ankles. When you finally get into bed, you lie on your back for a moment, place one hand on your chest and one on your stomach, and take 5 slow breaths, letting your exhale be a little longer than your inhale. Then you roll into whatever position you usually sleep in. You haven't done anything dramatic, but you've told your nervous system, "We're not in a meeting anymore. It's okay to power down." Your tiny action tonight is to choose one body-based cue you can add before sleep. Maybe it's 3 slow breaths after you turn off the light. Maybe it's a 30-second stretch by the side of your bed. Maybe it's putting on a soft shirt that you only wear to sleep, so your body learns to associate that feeling with resting. Keep it small enough that you can do it even on your most exhausted nights. Let's turn this into a mini practice together. Wherever you are, see if you can unclench your jaw. Let your teeth part a little. Pull your shoulders up toward your ears, hold them there for a count of 3, and then let them drop. Notice the difference. Now, breathe in through your nose for a count that feels comfortable, maybe 4, and then breathe out through your mouth for a count that's 1 or 2 beats longer. Do that 3 times. As you breathe out each time, quietly say, "Let go." Not dramatically, just a small request to your muscles. You may feel silly doing this. That's okay. You're not auditioning for anyone. You're just giving your nervous system extra proof that it's allowed to relax. When your body starts to cooperate, your scripts and mental rules land more deeply. Later, When we're in that nighttime scene and your thoughts want to sprint, this simple habit of dropping your shoulders and lengthening your exhale will be one of the things that keeps the spiral from owning the whole night. Another angle on overthinking at night is identity. Right now, you might quietly see yourself as an overthinker, as if it's a fixed personality trait carved into your brain. When you repeat that long enough, your mind starts to live up to it. You get a tiny hint of worry and think, of course, this is what I do, and you keep going. A powerful shift is to see yourself as someone who notices thoughts and lets them pass, not someone who has to chase every one. This is closer to what Stoic thinkers meant by mastering your inner life, not controlling what appears, but choosing how you relate to it. If you never update this identity, you'll keep making choices that support the old one. You'll say yes to conversations that spike your anxiety right before bed because I always stay up late anyway. You'll scroll through comment sections because I'm already thinking too much. What's the point? You'll talk about yourself as if your brain is your enemy. I can never shut my mind off. My brain hates me. Those phrases might feel like jokes, but your nervous system listens. Here's why identity-level language matters. Your brain is constantly asking, "Who am I?" and then aligning your actions with the answer. If you tell yourself, "I'm the kind of person who can step back from my thoughts," you start looking for ways to prove that true. You won't be perfect, but you'll start catching yourself mid-spiral and thinking, "Wait, I don't do it like this anymore," and that moment of awareness opens a new door. A simple line here could be, "I'm someone who lets thoughts pass." It sounds calm, almost boring, and that's the point. You're not chasing some dramatic identity like relentlessly positive or unshakable. You're choosing a quieter, sturdier one. You watch thoughts, you don't get dragged by all of them. Picture a regular night in an apartment in Dallas or a house in suburban Ontario. You're in bed, lights off, and a familiar worry appears. Old story, here we go again, my brain is ridiculous, and why can't I just be normal? I always overthink everything. That story makes you feel stuck and broken before you even start. New story, the thought appears, you feel the stir, and you say, "Okay, I see you. I'm someone who lets thoughts pass." You imagine the thought like a car driving by your house instead of someone banging on your front door. You don't have to stand outside and argue with it. Your tiny action is to decide on one identity sentence you're willing to try on for a week. It could be, "I'm learning to let thoughts pass," if that feels more honest. It doesn't have to feel fully true yet, it just has to be something you're open to becoming. Write it down somewhere you'll see at night, a sticky note on your lamp, a note on your phone lock screen, a small card by your pillow. Let's give this a slow practice moment too. Close your eyes if that feels okay. Take a breath in and think, "I'm not my thoughts." Breathe out and think, "I'm the one who notices them." Another breath in, and on the exhale, try your identity line, "I'm someone who lets thoughts pass," or "I'm learning to let thoughts pass." Say it once more, slightly slower, as if you're teaching a child how to handle a worry. Notice any resistance or eye-roll energy that shows up. That's fine. You're not trying to force belief, you're just planting a seed. Over time, identity statements like this get reinforced by small choices. When we get into that story soon, the Friday night, the text thread, the familiar knot in your chest, your decision to set the phone down, breathe, and use your script will be one more brick in this new identity. You become someone who doesn't let every thought run the show, especially not in the dark. So far, you've collected some tools, separating night from decision time, facts first, story second, a night script, a worry window, phone boundaries, body first cues, and a calmer identity. It's a lot, and you don't need to use all of it perfectly. What matters is that you have a small set of moves you can actually perform on a real night, when you're irritated, scared, or tempted to do what you've always done. To make this real, let's walk through an actual evening where things don't go smoothly, and see how these tools play out. It's Friday. You're in a mid-sized city somewhere in the US or Canada, maybe Portland, maybe Halifax. The week was rough. Work felt heavy, a couple of bills hit at the same time, and there's tension with someone close to you. You've made some progress with your worry window, earlier that afternoon, you actually sat down at your kitchen table, wrote down a few fears about money and work, and picked 2 small actions for next week. You felt a tiny bit clearer afterward, not perfect, but less foggy. Now it's later. You ate something simple for dinner, cleaned up, and let yourself watch a show. Your phone is nearby. You know, in theory, that you want a no heavy phone use rule after a certain time, but tonight you're tired and a little lonely. You check the time, 10:20 p.m. You scroll through a few posts, nothing too intense, and then you see a notification, a text from someone you care about. Maybe it's a partner, maybe it's someone you've been seeing, and maybe it's a close friend. You open the thread. The last messages from earlier in the day were a little off. You asked if they wanted to hang out this weekend, and they said they were busy. Now, at 10:22, a new message comes in, we should probably talk about where this is going. Your heart drops. Your stomach twists. Your brain instantly loads the worst-case stories, faster than you can breathe. They're about to break up with me. I messed this up. Of course, this always happens. You feel heat in your face. You want to reply immediately, to get clarity, to fix whatever this is before the night is over. This is the turning point where your old pattern and your new tools collide. Old pattern, you text back instantly. What do you mean? Is something wrong? Are you mad at me? They see that you're online and typing. Maybe they take a while to answer. You stare at the 3 dots. Each second feels like an hour. You start checking their social media, their last seen status, past messages. Within 20 minutes, your nervous system is in full panic. Even if they respond kindly, you're wrecked. If they respond harshly, you don't sleep at all. Tonight, you try something different. You feel the surge. Your thumb hovers over the keyboard, and you pause. That pause is not an accident, it's the result of everything you've been practicing. You put the phone down on your lap and take one slow breath, just like you've done the last few nights as a practice. On the exhale, you quietly say, right now I'm safe in my bed. This can wait until tomorrow. My only job is to rest. It feels almost ridiculous in the face of a possible breakup, but you say it anyway. Your brain pushes back. Are you kidding me? We can't wait. We have to know. We have to respond perfectly or they'll leave. You feel your chest tighten. This is where facts first, story second comes in. You say in your mind, facts first. You list them. Fact, they texted, we should probably talk about where this is going. Fact, they did not say, it's over, or I'm done. Fact, it's 10:22 p.m. Fact, serious talks over text late at night have not gone well for you in the past. Fact, you're tired and emotionally raw from the week. Then you name the story. The story I'm telling myself is that they're about to reject me and I need to fix it immediately to avoid being abandoned. You feel your throat tighten as you admit that to yourself. You look at the time again. You remember your personal rule, the one you've been building, no big decisions or heavy conversations late at night. You've seen how nighttime talks tend to go. Someone is tired, someone misreads tone, and the conversation goes sideways. You bring in your identity line, I'm someone who lets thoughts pass. It doesn't erase your fear, but it reminds you that you don't have to be dragged by it at this moment. You pick up the phone again, but this time not to start a long text. You type a short, grounded message instead, thanks for saying that. It sounds important. I definitely want to talk about it. Could we talk tomorrow when we're both fresh? You read it once, making sure it matches the calmer version of you you're trying to become. Then you hit send and put the phone face down across the room. Your body is still buzzing. That's normal. You stand up, walk to the bathroom, splash a little cool water on your face, and do 1 or 2 light stretches. When you get back into bed, you repeat your script, right now I'm safe in my bed. This can wait until tomorrow. My only job is to rest. You add, I've already set a time to handle this. Maybe you even decide when you'll talk, Saturday late morning, after breakfast. Your mind keeps trying to run through the possible outcomes. You catch it and say, I'll think about this at the worry window if I need to. Not now. You focus on your breath, letting your exhales be a beat longer than your inhales. You drop your shoulders. You notice the feel of the sheets against your legs, the weight of the blanket on your body, the sound of the fan or the quiet in the room. You're not magically calm, but you're anchored in something other than fear. Eventually, your body gets the message. The urgency fades down by a few notches. You might wake up once or twice in the night and think about the upcoming conversation. Each time, you use the same sequence: facts first, short script, identity line, breathe. At some point, you drift into sleep. It's not perfect sleep, but it's sleep. In the morning, you wake up with more energy than you would have had if you'd spent half the night texting and arguing. You're still nervous about the talk, but you're slightly steadier, and that steadiness changes how you show up. When you finally sit down or get on a call the next day, you're clearer. You've had a chance to check your own emotions, to separate facts from stories, and to remember that whoever this person is, your worth isn't destroyed by one conversation. Whether the talk goes the way you hope or not, you've protected your sleep, your nervous system, and your ability to respond instead of react. That's the real victory. What we've really been working on this whole time is the difference between letting your nights be run by whatever thought shouts the loudest and choosing how your mind and body respond after dark. Overthinking at night isn't a random curse, it's a pattern you can understand and change. It's the difference between reacting to every worry as if it's an alarm and responding like someone who knows that rest is a responsibility too. First, we started in that dark room with you staring at your phone, feeling your brain race while the clock moved forward. We named the cost of letting that pattern run the show: tired mornings, shorter temper, weaker focus, and a growing sense that you can't trust your own mind. Then we reframed nighttime itself, treating it not as a place to solve everything but as a space dedicated to rest, where heavy decisions don't get to set up shop. From there, we looked at how your brain blends facts and stories, especially when you're tired. We used that facts first, story second lens to give you a little distance from the late-night movies in your head. Then we built a night script: right now I'm safe in my bed. This can wait until tomorrow. My only job is to rest. So you have words ready when your mind starts sprinting. After that, we moved your worries into the daytime with a simple worry window, so your brain knows there's a scheduled place to think through money, work, and relationship issues. We also talked about your phone, how those late-night taps on social media, email, and text threads keep your nervous system on high alert. You set a boundary so that after a certain time, your phone is for music and alarms only, not for new problems. We brought your body into the picture with small physical cues, breathing practices, stretching, relaxing your jaw and shoulders, so your nervous system isn't stuck in fight or flight while you're trying to sleep. Then we updated your identity, shifting from "I'm an overthinker" to "I'm someone who lets thoughts pass," so your brain has a new standard to grow into. Finally, we walked through that Friday night scene. You got a loaded text that would usually guarantee you hours of panic, but instead of reacting, you paused. You used your scripts, your facts versus story lens, your phone boundary, and your worry window. You chose to rest and respond the next day from a steadier place. That story wasn't a fantasy, it's a preview of what your nights can look like as you keep practicing. To make this stick, there are 3 simple things you can start today. First, set up your night capture system. Put a small notebook and pen next to your bed and decide that any heavy thought that shows up after lights out gets 1 sentence on the page and then gets rescheduled for tomorrow. Second, choose a daily worry window, 10 to 15 minutes in the late afternoon or early evening, where you sit down, list what your brain is anxious about, and pick 1 small action for the next day. Third, pick a phone boundary for tonight, even if it's modest, maybe no social media after 10 p.m., or plugging your phone in just out of reach so you're not doom scrolling under the covers. If this resonated, the next thing you'll probably want to dive into is how to handle emotional waves during the day so they don't carry over so strongly into your nights. Think of a follow-up lesson on something like how to stop replaying conversations after conflict or using Stoic tools to handle criticism at work so your evenings start from a calmer baseline. Those topics connect directly to what keeps your mind buzzing when the lights go out. You don't have to become some perfectly serene person who never worries again. You just need a few simple rules, a script, and a little practice honoring your own need for rest. If you want a whole library of Stoic focus lessons on emotional control, boundaries, and relationships, this is what we do here every week. If you feel messages like this need to reach more people, hit like, tap subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.